Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be getting into the music theory. This time we're going to be talking about unique chords. I really wanted to do this one. I'm motivated. Let's just jump in and talk about it. Last time we talked about the dominant 7 flat 5 chord, that interesting chord. Somebody commented brilliantly that it's like a minor 7 flat 5 or a half diminished, where you just change the third from major to minor. So that was a great insight. So I'd like to show you that. Here's the half diminished, and just take that E flat and raise it. I love it. You just play with these distances. Okay, well, let's go back to the basics now. We know the major chord. We know our minor chord. We know our minor 7th. We know our major 7th. If you want to check into the exercise that I offered, you may want to check into that one where we go major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7th, half diminished, fully diminished. That's a really great exercise. One of the ones I really enjoy. The other one is you just bop the 2 bottom notes down, top 2 notes down. Love that. Drop the top 2, drop the bottom 2, drop the top 2. That sort of reminds me of this exercise. In any case, that should cover some of these interesting chords. The basics: major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7th, half diminished, fully diminished. Now, some of the chords that are not included in this are the augmented. Now, the augmented chord, you should know, is an equidistant chord, so that the distance between C and E is a major third, or 2 whole steps, and then another 2 whole steps. So it's an equidistant or symmetrical chord. If you add the octave, it's still in a symmetrical chord. That's a symmetrical chord. And there will be 4 symmetrical chords until we get back to the E, which is an inversion of the C. So we have 4 augmented chords. And every other augmented chord will be an inversion of that. So there are just 3 inversions. So the D flat augmented would be the same as F augmented, would be the same as A. And the D augmented is the same as F sharp and B flat. And the E flat is the same as G, is the same as B. Again, you use these exercises to inspire composition. You might want to write a piece about. Just experiment. That's what really music theory is, really an entree, an entrance into composition. It doesn't have to be for everybody. Some people are theorists and they just stay theorists. For my dollar, if you're going to study theory, you might as well compose and use your creative impulse. Now, once you have the augmented chord, you could always throw a dominant in there. It's kind of a weird chord there. So it would be a dominant 7 sharp 5, if you will. Throw in the 9th, because you got a 5 and a 9. I wonder what that would sound like with a flat 9. It's kind of okay. That's an interesting one too. We talked about the French augmented chord, but what if we throw in the 9th or flat 9 on top of there? in all of these, I mean, these are some really strange chords that are really not common in jazz or anything, but sometimes you want to take a look at the upper structures to see if they build a major chord. Like, for instance, in your dominant ninth, here you have an augmented chord on top, but really the major chord on top of here is the upper structure 2, a D major chord on top of a C7. That is an interesting chord in terms of the fact that you could think of a D major chord as sitting on top of a C7. I don't really have a good position here for seeing all the octaves, but basically you have a C7 in the bottom. In jazz, sometimes you just leave out the 5th. Maybe let's take it down a little bit. Always take your chords down a half step. Really nice sounding chord. Again, you have an A7 in the upper structure 2. Upper structure, Roman numeral 2 would be an A7, upper structure 2, which would be a B major chord. And then you can analyze each note as related to the A. So you have root 3rd, 7th, 9th. What would that be? Sharp 11, 13. F sharp on top of A is 13. It's also the 6th. That's the note of interest. It's called a D sharp. And let's just slide our fingers down. Nice. A flat 7, upper structure 2. It's all upper structure 2. There's also an upper structure 6. Let's take a look at that for a second. What would that be on F? 6 would be a D. It's a nice little quality there. So going back to the 2 chord, we have the 9th, sharp 11, and 13. So it's just the sharp 11. Everything else is naturally occurring in 9th and 13th are natural. And it's just the sharp 11. But in the upper structure 6 chord, I'll just use an inversion of D. All right, we'll do this inversion. It's an upper structure D major chord in second inversion here, but the 3rd, which is the last note of this D chord, is just a repeat. That doesn't do us anything. Just a repeat of the 3rd. But the 13th is interesting, and it's major 3rd above it, the flat 9. That's interesting. So the upper structure 6 gives us the 13 flat 9. 13 flat 9. And just resolve it down to its, from a 5-1 to F, E flat. Can end on a 6 chord. It's just as equal. Nice, isn't that? So let's do the 2. Upper structure 2 gives us the 9th, sharp 11, and 13, like the whole box of candy right there. Love that. We're on a C chord now, we can go to the F. Love it. Just sliding down half steps, love it. Or up. G flat. So we're talking about upper structure 6 here, right? So it's a G, G 7th, without that 5th, we don't need the 5th. And just hooking a tritone. Second inversion, E chord, which is an upper structure 6. So we went a little far afield as usual. So we started with our augmented chord. If you can follow my train of thought, we have 4 augmented chords. That was a nice discovery for today. You can start that on any note you want. Or you could skip around. Takes a little practice. Skip, David. There you go. Maybe you want to skip minor thirds. I mean, it sounds like it should be in some composition of some jazz great or something or other like that. Diminished. Major 7th. I think we might have covered that at some point, but it's a nice diminished chord. Major 7th. Sort of wants to like resolve, like an appoggiatura. It's nice. So you play around with that. It's like sort of like a minor major. Either one of those. And these really color chords, just like a C6. It's a color. You're just adding the 6 to a C, which is an inversion of A minor 7. C6, you throw in the 6th, or C minor 6. Do that in every key. What did we say? We said 6. Oh, major 6, minor 6, major 6, D6, and then D minor 6, E flat 6, E flat minor 6, E6, E minor 6, F6, F minor 6, G flat 6, G flat minor 6, and don't forget that the minor 6th is an inversion of half diminished. And major 6 is an inversion of minor 7s. So you just take this E minor 7, lift up the E, here's your G6. So an E minor 7 is equivalent to a G6. Same thing, let's see, we're on G6, the A flat 6. It's the same thing as F minor 7. You know? A flat 6, let's go to A6. It's just an A major chord with the F sharp on top. Take that F sharp on the bottom. It's an F sharp minor 7th. So these guys just interpolate. Oh, here's a good chord. We really didn't talk about the sharp 9 chord. Let's pick it up a little bit so you can see this note. Here we are. So this is bad chord. I think we might have mentioned this bad chord. It's so bad. What's bad about it? Well, there was a clash between this. That major 7th is sort of clashy. Basically, you have an E flat dominant with the sharp 9, which likes to resolve to the flat 9. And you can resolve to major or minor. So it's like a 5-to-1 relationship, right? E flat to A flat. So we can do that in a few different keys for us. So C, C7, we're just thinking of it as a 5-1 relationship of a dominant to an F. So C7 to F. Either resolving to minor or major. D flat. So you think of the minor third on top of D flat is that minor third. So you have your major third here, and then the minor third up here. It's like a minor third above the octave or root. And then the 7th of D flat. Going to F sharp. And we go to a D7. And its sharp 9 would be what? Its sharp 9 would be what? Sharp 9 is a minor third above D. That's right. Sharp 9. Here's your bad chord. It's so bad. Loving that bad chord. It's so bad. And where we're going to? A flat to D flat. Love it. And here we go to the augmented 7th. So you don't actually have to resolve these sharp 9 chords. You could just move them. They're just unresolved. They just function without the, harmonic motion of 5 to 1. They're just functioning as, floating out there doing whatever, just, stabbing that note right in the middle of somewhere, and it's a color. Just use these as colors. But in general, what I wanted to say for today was, if you're doing an arrangement, you're going through a tune and you want to say, what chord can I play here? Sometimes if you just experiment, say, you know what, I could really use a half diminished chord there. Try it out. The other thing for today would be inversions. So a C major chord. To get the third in the bass, doesn't matter what you're doing on top. It could be even doubling the C. So third in the bass is a wonderful classical harmony, and that wants to move to like an F chord. So practice that C, G, E in the bass, going to an F chord. In the right hand, it's a second inversion. So it's easy. You could practice that. Now in a chord progression, like a 1 slash with the third in the bass, with a 4 chord, and that would want to go to 5 chord, and you want to go home. Let's do that again. Deceptive cadence, I wouldn't go from G to C, I would go G, deceptive cadence to A minor. So going from G to C, C major has 2 notes in common with A minor. So instead of going to C major, we go to A minor, and therefore we extend this chord progression. So 4 chord, 5 chord, and I use the sus. Now the sus chord is another little color chord that is very, very important to use. Now you can also do the opposite sus and go down. Billy Joel in All for Laner, he does on a minor sus. So that little sus could go also below to its second. The thing is that sus note, that sus 4, wants to resolve to its natural place. So once again, our sus chord, the 4th wants to resolve, and we could resolve down, and then back to the restful place of the major chord. So in review, we reviewed our augmented chord, our diminished major seventh, our bad chord, our sharp 9 chord, and variations on upper structures. So we have a lot of different voicings in this little lesson here, and we could delve and put little music lessons together for you. So let me just get back to the screen here and say goodbye to everybody for this little session. Thank you so much for checking into my music theory course. Please leave some comments below and make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 people. I'm about 581 today, asking everybody in the hotel to please subscribe. If you have a phone, open up your YouTube, subscribe. Oh, what's your name? Okay, it's a good way to go. I think I'm leaning over to get my mouse here, and I got all kinds of vermins floating around here. Have a great one. Let me know what you want.